Have you ever had a mighty need to be part of a World War II Air Force? Well, if you were a kid and had an NES, then Capcom had you covered. With 1943, you got to relive the awesome air-to-air combat vicariously through your console. Exciting stuff.
1944 was the first game we ever had on the NES. Well, let me be more precise. It was the first game we had on Famicom. We had one of those golden China knockoff variants that were so prominent in SA, which I've mentioned before, but I digress. 1944 was in fact a hack of 1943, identical in every way save for this insane OP laser. Why the fuck would you use bullets when you have this? Can you just imagine if the Germans had this technology back then? From this point on, I will refer to the game as 1943. It's the version I played through completely for this video, and the main reason I've chosen to do so is because, well, it's in English. The 1944 hack was in Japanese, so as with a lot of the games we had growing up, we didn't have a fucking clue as to what all this exposition was about. And like I said, the only discernible difference is that laser. Man, just look at that thing go. 1943 does actually have a laser as well. I acquired it towards the end of the game by collecting this cat thing. It's really powerful, but unlike the hack, it isn't full auto. Also known as 1943 The Battle of Midway, which in actuality took place in June of 1942. So maybe it would have made more sense for Capcom to have called the predecessor to this game The Battle of Midway, since that one was actually called 1942. Anyway, 1943 is set in the Pacific theater of World War II, off the coast of the Midway Atoll. Your mission is to fuck up the Japanese fleet that bombed your American carrier and ultimately destroy the Japanese battleship Totaku. And much in the same way as the previous game, you get to do so in the awesome Lockheed P38 Lightning, which, as you may or may not have guessed, did not come equipped with advanced laser weaponry. This is a good thing though.
So when I actually played the 1944 ROM hack, I had no idea or no context at the time as to, well, as a kid, as to how much easier the game is with that laser, because you can literally just hold down the fire button, it will shoot out a continuous beam of death, and then you can just go from side to side and literally just mop up everything, kill everything. Even the battleships don't stand a chance against that fucking laser.
I relished the relentless bullet-laden dogfights that my little P38 was constantly embroiled in.
A few moments later.
You know, sometimes this game makes you so fucking frustrated that I feel like Penguin in that little Batman car after he's lost control and he's just going... That's how I feel playing fucking 1943.
As scrolling shooters go, 1943 is still a lot of fun. The button scheme is extremely simple. B fires the main weapon, A lets off a special screen clearing attack such as lightning, and pressing A and B together lets you do an invasive loop-de-loop. Throughout your journey, you'll collect various power-ups for energy, weapons, and so forth. By far, the best power-up you can get are the two little side fighters that flank you at either side. Hold on to these for as long as you can. I'd also recommend using a controller or mapping that supports the turbo feature. It eases things up a little, and having to constantly press the fire button is just a pain in the ass. You can't continuously be collecting the weapon power-ups though, as you'll need to keep an eye on your energy meter, collecting energy power-ups when needed to keep it from dropping to zero. When that happens, all it takes is one shot and your goose is cooked. Interestingly, before the game starts, you get to distribute points to power up your P38. I like that nice little RPG-ish inclusion more so now that I can actually understand what I'm reading, and likewise with the rest of the game. It's nice to be able to follow what's going on. Flying into these flower bonus characters will allow you to add further points towards powering up your P38. If I'm not mistaken, the Dragonfly does that too. The other bonus characters such as these seem to add to your energy, but they're hidden so you'll have to fire around the screen to reveal them. I also played the arcade version, with the NES version of course being a port of this, and while it's obvious that the music and visuals had to be scaled down, Capcom did a marvelous job here. I don't recall 1943 being at my local arcade though, I'm pretty sure it must have been. I probably just overlooked it because there was a version of it available on the NES Famicom, and my time would have been monopolized by the likes of Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and various other games my home console couldn't hope to handle. The arcade version is rather fantastic. It looks great and the music is spectacular. I'm rather impressed with how well the NES version manages to replicate the tunes.
So in the high probability that the arcade version of this game is no longer available to you, or there's just simply no old school arcades in your area, get the game on MAME and give it a shot. It is fantastic. I did prefer it over the NES version, to be honest. The music and the graphics are really good. The only thing I didn't like about it was the fact that there is no auto fire, so you're continuously fucking tapping that fucking fire button. But beyond that, the game is spectacular.
The gameplay for the most part remains intact. The only negative here is the amount of slowdown encountered when there's a lot of stuff on screen. Hell, even the music slows down. Damn. But amazingly, the arcade version remains tougher than the console ports, so it was definitely a quarter pounder. So yes, as one would expect from Capcom back in the day, the visuals, gameplay, and music are all top tier here. There's something extraordinarily nostalgic about revisiting this game, especially when doing so decades after having played it. 1943, or 44 in my case, was always one of the favorites.
Papa, please can we play 1943? Papa, please can we play 1944? Or 43? One of them, anyone? Papa, please?
You know what? Thank fuck for save states. I mean, say what you want about them. Yeah, that's fucking cheating. Fuck that. Save states make your life so much easier and also prevent needless backtracking and a constant replaying of the same thing over and over again, because you are gonna fucking die over and over again. Save states. Save states.
There is a large variety of enemies in this game, ranging from standard cannon fodder planes, red ones that offer power-ups, various larger planes that can take a lot more punishment, battleships, and of course there are bosses, large, exquisite pixel masses designed to punish you, and punish you they will, as even a brief lapse in concentration can spell certain doom. The boss battles were always the highlight, and man, that incoming warning music, when you heard that, you knew shit was about to go down. The large, detailed sprites are still impressive to this day, and the explosive sound effects are just as great and satisfying as I remember them to be. 1943 has aged like a fine wine, and it's no wonder that this game has been ported to pretty much every conceivable console, although apparently the quality of some of the ports is dubious at best. I just stick with the NES ROM as it offers the most faithful experience. Circling back to the 1944 hack, I could find zero information about it, unfortunately, and Google only yielded ROM hack download sites for it, as opposed to any actual information about its origins. But given that the NES port of 1943 came out in June of '88, the mystery of who thought it would be a good idea to add a crazy auto laser to a game based in the 40s will be forever buried in the sea of the past, much like many of the Japanese Zeros that were shot down or crashed into the Pacific Ocean.
Damn!
1943 is definitely still good today. I had an absolute blast playing it, and its arcade big brother's a lot of fun too.
Well, if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up, drop a like, and most importantly, subscribe. Until next time, keep playing retro.